Whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. An integral part of selling is the ability to be able to negotiate. The more effective we are at sales, the more likely it is that negotiation becomes easier but never easy. So the concept is this: the client's bought into the idea of your product and service, but they haven't actually bought. They now probably want to negotiate around the terms under which they purchase your product, services, goods, tangible, intangible. It makes no difference. So we're now into a negotiation element. If you, the client, are 100% happy with my offering, you will be less likely to push back on price. As salespeople, what we do is to convince people to buy is we drop our price quicker, because that's what we do. It's a natural instinctive. Why do we do that? Well, sometimes the organisations we work for drive our behaviour because they want us to get the sale. So what we do is we shortcut it, lower the price quicker to get the sale. And at some point a customer thinks, well, that's so good, I've got to take it, in its simplistic form. What I do on my negotiation skills programs, or the negotiation dimension of selling, is I use some models to help people understand their negotiation process. One of the first ones I use is the model of ZOPA, which is the zone of possible agreement. This was particularly coined by Uris and Fisher in their book Getting to Yes. Great book. If you're thinking about getting a book on negotiation, that's one I recommend for you. So what do they talk about? Well, what they say is that they ask the question, what is the job of the buyer? Well, the job of the buyer is to commoditize what we do. But the job of the buyer is also to buy. Well, that's their job. That's what they're paid to do. What's the job of the seller? Well, the job of the seller, of course, is to sell, at quoted. So where's the dilemma then? Well, the buyer doesn't know the lowest price the seller is prepared to go to and still go ahead with the sale. However, the salesperson doesn't know what the highest price the buyer is prepared to pay, which fits within their budgetary constraints. And that is where you have the overlap. The point in the middle is the zone of possible agreement, and that's where we start negotiating. So my programs look at negotiation structure and methodology, academic references where you need them, but there's some good ones out there, and importantly though, practicality. How does it work in their particular business environment? To give you an example, a model that I still use today, it's been around for a long time, Gavin Kennedy model, for those of you that like this, Uris and Fisher wrote about it as well, is the like, intend, must model. In very simple terms, it gives you a framework to actually illustrate what would I like to get, that's my ideal, what would I intend to get, which is less than my ideal, but I'll be okay with that, and what is my must? My must, my bottom line, the point where for you and for me, commercially, the deal just doesn't stack up. In my workshops, we use this in a very practical way in terms of the client's environment and business. And I also move into an area called negotiable variables. Now, negotiable variables are the things we trade with outside of price. And I get any clients, the clients I'm working with, to actually really think about what is it they actually trade and do they understand the cost and the value of those. Some of the results I've had recently have not just been good, they have been startling in terms of how people have been able to negotiate more effectively. Even using simple concepts like moving away from round numbers. Round numbers just beg to be negotiated. So I focus on process in negotiation, same as I do in sales, but I also focus on psychology, because the real essence is, if you think you've got a good deal, you have.